It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
.06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Wednesday, so over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Home Defense Paperweights. They look like rocks, but well, they're actually rocks.
It's okay. Well, hey, look, that's not to say it wouldn't work.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. Now, I have been for a while now checking in on Liz Cheney to see how she's doing. And it's the same thing every single day. Until yesterday, we put a dart in her neck, and she's been sleeping for a while there. So how's her freak out been since Trump has been elected? Well, just before I turned on this mic, and I mean mere moments ago, I decided to check. In fact, I'll do it again while I'm talking to her. She has a website. As soon as she, basically was fired by the people of Wyoming, she went off and started a think tank, and her big goal was to make sure that Trump was never elected again. The website is called Our Great Task, and it's filled with a join our great task to defeat Donald Trump. And you can donate money to it, and there's news stories out there. Now, she has a bunch of things that she's posted on Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it these days, but she hasn't posted there in a little while. And I was wondering, so what has she posted since Trump has been elected? Not a damn thing. The website is completely quiet. Okay, there's nothing out there. And I don't know, I'll double check, but I haven't found anything that she's posted on social media anywhere. So as far as I know, since the great loss is, let's call it that for the Democrats, the great loss, she hasn't said a single word, and I'm not sure exactly what she plans to do next, but okay. Wouldn't it be great if Trump gave her a call and said, hey, Liz, would you like to be on my cabinet? I know, don't get mad. It's not like it's going to happen, but I mean, you want to just hear her head explode one more time. Okay, let's get back to something here in the state of Wyoming real quick. Yesterday at this time, I was telling you guys that a judge over in Teton County said that the abortion law in Wyoming is unconstitutional because abortion is health care. So the way this works, just review real fast, according to the Wyoming state constitution, when it comes to your health, it's in the Constitution. When it comes to your health care, it's on you. It's up to you. You do what you want. That's your health care, whatever you choose. That's why during COVID, government in Wyoming could not turn to you, or even the federal government, and say, you have to get the vaccine. No, you don't. It's your choice. So the judge was saying, well, Wyoming can't make abortion illegal because it's health care. So, all right. So I was wondering what was going to happen. I expected things were going to happen quickly. Story from Cowboy State Daily today, and we also have it on our news here. Wake Up Wyoming, KGAB Radio has posted it. Wyoming will appeal ruling to block abortion bans, Governor Gordon says. The story says, after the judge struck down Wyoming's 2 abortion bans on Monday, the state plans to appeal the decision to the Wyoming Supreme Court. And as I said, there's 2 things that can happen here, and I think they're both going to happen. We'll end up at the Wyoming Supreme Court, but at the same time, your Wyoming House and Senate will take a look at what they can do to change the Wyoming Constitution. So you still have the right to control your health care decisions, but abortion is still illegal. They're going to try to figure out a way to write that. So Gordon said yesterday, I've directed the Attorney General to review the opinion and prepare an appeal to the Wyoming Supreme Court. And then he declined any phone interviews on the whole thing right now. The announcement, and of course the story goes into why they've announced that some of the plaintiffs who have waged more than a 2-year litigation against Wyoming's various abortion bans were elated at the decision. So that's all that Gordon says. Quote, I remain committed to defending the constitutionality of this law and the sanctity of life. I've directed the Attorney General to review the opinion and prepare an appeal for the Wyoming court. Now, there's another thing. This is a two-part thing. There's abortion as you traditionally think of it. But there's also the abortion pill, or a pill that causes abortion, which is the next thing in this court case. Can women go get that pill somewhere, which has the same effect? All right, so the story says, although most of the attention from the Jackson District Court Monday's decision to shut down Wyoming abortion ban was centered on the removal of a overreaching ban. Also nixed was the first in the nation ban on prescription and chemical abortion drugs. Most abortions performed in Wyoming are done by pill. I didn't know that. Rather than surgical operations, along with the more than 60% of U.S. abortion last year, according to research. The main ban overturned by, I can see why, though, because it's less, if you were going to do this and you had a choice, you can take this pill and it will cause an abortion, or we can go in there surgically and do it. Which would you choose? And I think most women would say, give me the pill. The main ban by the 10th Circuit Court, the judge there Monday, would have outlawed nearly all abortions, including chemical, with the exception of rape, incest, and other serious health. So they have to go after that, too. This is where your Wyoming legislators will have to take a look at both decisions that was made by the judge in Teton County. Now, again, this is not something that gets settled overnight. So we go to the Supreme Court with this. First off, the cases have to be put together. And then they have to go to the court, and the court has to hear everything. That takes a while. So a decision coming down will be a while by the Supreme Court. How long? I don't know, but don't hold your breath. These kind of decisions are huge, obviously, so they take a while. Also, what your Wyoming House and Senate will do to try to craft something, which would have to be, I would think, a change to the Constitution. And doing something like that would have to go through the House and the Senate, get signed by the governor, and you might think, okay, so we're good. Well, but then we have to get the people of Wyoming to vote on it. Now, they could wait until 2 years from now, the next election cycle. Although I have heard of things being brought up and brought before the people in a special case. But I still say if you're waiting for something to happen on that sometime soon, don't hold your breath, because it just takes a while to do these kinds of things. So that's where we are right now, anyway.
I have a joke for you.
Okay.
The government is excellent and uses your tax dollars efficiently.
And we're back. Sorry, we were busy tricking pescatarians into eating Rocky Mountain oysters. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
6:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, here's a kind of story that drives me absolutely nuts. So I'm hoping it'll do the same to you, which at this time of the morning, it's like caffeine. It gives you a good shot of adrenaline. All right. So I was hoping we were done with this. Some years ago, a woman wrote a book, really good book, about free-range kids and how healthy it is to let your kids run and play and, go do what they want. And we've had some problems where, she had admitted, which is what prompted her book and her movement. She lives in New York City, and the kid wants to go play baseball with his friends, and so she just lets him go. And I forget, the kid was like 8 years old, something like that. And so he just went and got on the subway, went across New York, went to the park, played, came back, and people were, oh my God, you let your kid do it. Well, he's fine. He knows what he's doing. Now, at that age and even younger, I was way away from home. There was, and it was fine. There was a couple of parents, and I'm trying to remember what state it was in, but basically the kids said, hey, Mom, we want to go up to the playground. And the playground was about a mile up the road. And Mom said, okay. Now that she knows where the kids are. And so the kids went up the road to play in the playground, and now a bunch of kids are unsupervised in the playground a mile away from home. Somebody calls the police, and the mom is arrested for child endangerment because you need to be there watching those kids. What the hell? I mean, how many of us did that when we were young, right? All right. So I thought we were over that because all across the country, parents started to rise up and go, oh, hell no. It's okay if my kids go out there and play like that. Here's the latest. A Georgia woman arrested for letting her 10-year-old son walk to the store, which was less than a mile from home. The woman was booked on suspicion of reckless conduct for allowing her son walk. He walked less than a mile and while she was at the doctor with her other children. The mom was arrested and faces a year in jail because her son, which has since turned 11, walked to the store less than a mile away. Mom said, anytime I checked, it wasn't illegal for kids to walk to the store. And the police officer said, well, it's when they're 10 years old. Really? Since when? Said the mom. So here again is the story put out. A Georgia woman was arrested and accused of allegedly endangering her son, all because the unsupervised 10-year-old walked less than a mile away from home, or from where she was. She was at the doctor's office. Brittany Patterson, 41 years old, had taken another son to the doctor October 30th, my birthday, by the way, and she became mildly annoyed but not at all worried when the county sheriff's department called to say her son, who had wandered into a rural area, and she's like, yeah, he's going to the store. So you get the idea. Authorities have offered to drop the charges if Patterson signs a form that outlines a safety plan guaranteeing that her child will always be under watchful eyes. I wouldn't sign it if I were her. Patterson, refused to sign the form, but said she'll contest the charge, which carries up to a year behind bars. This is the kind of thing that people need to fight to get rid of. She said, I just felt I couldn't sign that. Good for you. And that in doing so, I would be agreeing that there was something unsafe about my home, basically about the way she was parenting. Now, I look at this story and I think, and I know a lot of you were doing the same thing when you were kids. How far did you get away from home at that age, or even earlier? We've had this conversation before where parents have, in fact, people have said to me while I was talking about this, my parents said just be home before the street lights came on. For those of you who grew up in a neighborhood like that, I know quite a few people who live out in Wyoming that you didn't have a neighborhood, really. You're out in some ranch somewhere, but still, you wanted to go off and play, you go off and play. And that's perfectly fine to do. And no, there's no real danger in this. So this is one of those things that this has got to stop. And I thought, it's been a few years, because there have been cases like this in the past, and parents have successfully fought it and won. I thought we were done with this, but apparently not. In fact, in one case, and this was something by the mom who wrote Free Range Kids, she had sponsored an event, and a lot of parents showed up. The parents, and again, I forget the state, the parents showed up at a house, a lot of them, and had a barbecue, and let their kids go up the road about a mile or so to a park and let them just play unsupervised. And they were saying to authorities in the area, come do something about it. Because there were so many parents there. It wasn't like there were one or two parents. There was a lot of parents at this party. A lot. And they were saying, come do something about it. You going to arrest all of us? Well, the authorities did nothing in that case. And in some cases around the country, rules like this were, taken down. I'm glad to see it. But also, I think we have to deal with some neighbors because there are people that will see a kid out there playing by themselves and, are you okay? Why are you alone? The kid's playing. which is perfectly fine. They're going to be okay. It's been a while since I know Miss Mary's played this as a repeat at some point, but I have done a whole episode, a whole show on raising alpha kids and the importance of doing that. And yeah, it's a good idea at an early age to turn to them and say, "Oh, go ahead," and let them figure it out and let them make their mistakes. And the idea, well, they're going to get kidnapped, they're going to get raped, no, they're not. Actually, they'll be fine. Oh, there are cases where that happens, but they're actually very rare, far and few between. So, yeah, this case that happened in Georgia, I'm glad the mom didn't sign the paperwork. I'm glad she's fighting this. And the more people we can get into the fight, the better, to help her out, to get whatever apparent law, if there is one, in Georgia, probably said it wrong, Georgia, changed. All right, coming up on some local news we have to take care of. We're going to roll into a little weather forecast after that. Then you and I get back into it again. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97 WOODS. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio. Join the show at 888-97 Woods.
6:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. First off, to Mike Myers. No, not the guy from movie fame. Different Mike Myers. He's over in Boone. He's way out east. But he listens to this program. And he writes, I bought Genericville. Excellent. Glad you liked it. Now, here's the thing. For those who don't know, Genericville is my latest novel. So you can just go ahead and look up Genericville by Glenn Woods and get it. What I did was I took a bunch of homeowners association horror stories. Real homeowners association horror stories. And I invented some fictional characters, and I put them in a fictional neighborhood with these real homeowners association horror stories. And the way I wrote it is, as you read the book, it gets funnier and funnier, but it also gets darker and darker at the same time, to the point that people who normally you would really like, you end up going, oh my God, what the hell is wrong with? But it's all based on real stuff. So yes, it is a work of fiction, but based on actual real events from homeowners associations across the country. That's why he bought the book, and I'm glad that you enjoyed that. Thank you for reading that book. So I was just talking about a woman who's a mom. She's in Georgia, and she let her kid go not even a mile up the road to stop at the store and come back, and the kid's 10 years old, which is fine. She ends up getting arrested for this, which is not fine. The police try to get her to sign a piece of paper that they'll drop the charges if she promises to offer a plan of action to not allow this to happen again, in which case she says, hell no, I'm fighting this, which I'm so glad she's fighting this. So Red in Casper says, we're talking about when we were kids, how far away from home we would go. I would go more than a mile at that age, way more. Red and Casper said, we would leave at first light with a sandwich and come home for dinner. Also, I walked over a mile to school every day. And I bet you, Red, it was uphill in the snow both ways, right? Okay. Well, I did that. I mean, even for me, picture the island that I grew up on. The bus driver, I was the first person that the bus driver would pick up in the morning. And I would have to walk all the way through my neighborhood, all the way out to this street corner, which is the main road for that island out in the middle of nowhere. It was still dark out. And I would just stand there waiting for the bus to show up. And everybody was fine with that. That was okay. Nothing bad would happen. Tumbleweed in KC. When I was 8, I walked 2 miles to school should my mom have been jailed. Now, again, tumbleweed. You walk 2 miles to school in the snow, uphill both ways, right? And I bet you, since you're 8 years old, you're going to school. Was it dark still? It depends on where your school was. Or were you going to the school in Casey? Where were you at the time? I don't know. But, yeah, there were some people who would walk directly to school. In fact, so I wasn't born in Florida. I was born in New Jersey. We moved to Florida when I got into first grade. So in kindergarten, in my neighborhood in New Jersey, I would go to kindergarten. Now, school was up the road. And I would say probably, I'm guessing this, I want to say it was like a mile away from the house. And my mom would make sure I was all dressed and ready to go and had my lunchbox and everything. Okay, go to school. And I would walk to kindergarten. Now, there were times that my brother or sister might be with me, but there were times because they were older than me and went off to different grades that they weren't. And so there were times I would walk to or from school by myself. Kindergarten. And I'm fine. We can go on like this all day long. The point is, every so often one of these stories pops up. And what we need to do is what this mom is doing. Immediately crush it. This is every bit as bad, in my mind, as when kids want to set up a lemonade stand. And this has happened just a couple of years ago down in Denver, Colorado. And so here come the police. Oh, you're not allowed to open up a lemonade stand. A lemonade stand? Kids, a lemonade stand? They can't do that? Well, immediately people got outraged and shut that nonsense down. That's enough. Even things that have annoyed me over the years, Orlando, Florida, a few years ago, there's some people in the neighborhood, all these cute little houses in this old neighborhood, and the front yards are not very big. So this couple decided rather than growing grass, they grew a garden in their front yard. And the city showed up, you're not allowed to do that, and we're going to fine you until you tear up the garden. Well, they fought that. The couple fought that, and they won, thank God. These are the kinds of things that as soon as they happen, people need to step up en masse and go, no. Absolutely not. And let that city council know they are way out of line. 642, Wake Up Wyoming.
Take Glenn anywhere with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:48's the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off to the icebox we go. Frank Gambino's waiting by. So, Frank, now and then people get on health kicks and they start consuming weird things in order to make themselves healthy.
And it happens, and then
Yes.
they drop it because it's not really helping
not
them
really,
or not
no.
even proven.
Yeah.
Then they find something else.
Yes, and so on it goes. And sometimes it's just weird. Try this new green seaweed drink. Okay. Headline, could bird saliva be the missing ingredient in health drinks?
No.
Okay. And so we're done. No, I mean, who the hell thought, well, if we add some bird saliva, first off, what kind of bird? Second, how do you extract the saliva? I guess maybe you put some food in front of the bird so he drools. I don't know how that works.
The answer is no.
Okay.
Because if it was, we'd have thought about it 25,000 years ago.
Okay. So let me see. The entrees here. They talk about all the different ways they want to serve this to you.
Oh,
I'm with twist on traditional medicine. This goes back to who's the first person who took a look at a chicken egg and decided I should eat that? There's always a first person that does something like that. I think I'll go ahead and do this weird thing to that weird object over there and consume it and see,
Well, they're curious.
Here's to me, it's a big clue, Frank. When someone says it's an acquired taste.
Means it's bad.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that means it sucks and I'm not going to like it.
And you'll tolerate it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yes, I'm sorry. Acquired tastes are not for me.
It's
Also,
bad, yeah.
the moment somebody says, have you, and I don't care if it's bird, you should add saliva to that drink. Okay.
No, you know what? I haven't heard that yet.
I've added my own saliva to the drink, which ought to be just fine. Yes.
Glenn, some of the stuff that we discover here on this program makes me want to stay home.
Yes, yeah.
And not even turn on the internet or the TV or the radio, or I'm going to close the drapes. I don't want to.
Is it getting scary out there for you, Frank?
More and more by the day.
Yes. On the other hand, Frank...
People are weirder than me, and that's saying something.
On the other hand, Frank, who's a very healthy guy...
Oh, of course.
...starts his morning with M&M's and milk on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there you go.
And I put the M&M's in the coffee.
Yes.
Then the coffee melts some of the M&Ms.
Yeah, there
and
you go.
and it's chocolate on the bottom. Then you stir it with like a cinnamon stick.
There you go.
Kind of a thing.
And Frank is still going strong after all these years.
Oh, yeah. All right, in college football, the latest playoff rankings were released yesterday out of 12 teams that will be in the tournament eventually. As of right now, Boise State of the Mountain West would be one of the 4 highest conference champions and earn a first-round bye if things stay the way they are. BYU, with a loss to Kansas last week, dropped out of a chance at a first-round bye. So Boise State is rated 12th in the country with a record of 9-1. That is super bad news for a woeful Wyoming Cowboy football team who sits at 2-8 and will play the Broncos in Laramie on Saturday night. The beleaguered Cowboy run defense will have to deal with Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, who was a Heisman Trophy candidate with close to 1,900 yards rushing this year. UW finally acknowledging recruiting misses dating back years, which we've mentioned before, as one of the reasons why they're at the bottom of the football pile. And many are questioning why running back Harrison Whaley had just 8 carries in their loss to Colorado State last week. It's been a train wreck. Game time against Boise State at 5 p.m. at War Memorial Stadium. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Here's a rundown of what some of the former Wyoming Cowboys did in the NFL over the weekend. Topped by Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen. His 26-yard run late in the game on 4th down and 2 for a touchdown iced the game for the Bills, beating the Kansas City Chiefs 30-21, handing the Chiefs their first loss of the season. That may have been the play of the year in the NFL, with Allen showing smarts and super athletic ability on that play. Was incredible. He was 27 of 40 throwing the football for 262 yards in that game, and Buffalo is 9-2, by the way. Cincinnati linebacker and Casper native Logan Wilson with 8 tackles and a forced fumble in their 34-27 loss to the LA Chargers. The Bengals are just bad. They're 4-7. And Carl Granderson, defensive lineman for the New Orleans Saints, had 4 tackles and a sack, and the Saints a 35-14 win over Cleveland. Junior college soccer, LCCC from Cheyenne was eliminated from the national tournament in Wichita, Kansas by the top seed Iowa Western yesterday 3-0. Golden Eagles did post a win in pool play over Tyler, Texas 3-2 back on Monday, but their season does come to an end with a record of 12-6-3. That's in sports for now.
See, unfortunately, sports fans in Wyoming are running out of options when it comes to football. You can't root for Denver, obviously.
Well, you can if you'd like to to do so.
Yeah, if you're not going to vote for root for UW, although you would like to, but you just can't right now. So how's Josh doing?
Fantastic.
Okay, good.
The player of the year.
Good.
That run for a touchdown against the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, it was unbelievable.
Is he going to make it into the playoffs?
Yeah, they'll be 9-2. Good. Okay. Now the thing is about the Buffalo Bills is they've always had difficulty with Kansas City, always. Yeah. So they finally beat them. The thing is now, to go over the top, you have to beat them in the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Well, see, here's the thing though, that gives Wyoming something to root for. There's one guy left.
He is
Yes.
The most popular guy in Wyoming. All you have to do is just go on social media. It's Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that, Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that.
Thank you, Josh, for giving Wyoming something to root for.
Yes, thank you.
No, okay. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. I got to roll into news time after that. It's national, local. Update on the weather forecast. Getting a lot of response here off the Wake Up Wyoming app about the mom arrested for allowing her kid to walk 3/4 of a mile by himself. We'll do that and some other stories I have lined up for you. Phone number 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS. Wake Up Wyoming.
$50.
Six at a time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. It's a Wednesday, so over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Home Defense Paperweights.
Rocks.
They look like rocks, but, well, they're actually rocks.
Rocks, yeah. But, you know, if it works, then it works, so just go for it.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. So first off this hour, last hour, to say the program, which is the first hour of the program. Okay, I'm confusing myself. Anyway, the first thing I talked about this morning is, yes, there was that judge in Teton County who said that banning abortion in Wyoming is unconstitutional because abortion is health care. And Wyoming's constitution guarantees you the right to make your own health care decisions. So the governor of the state of Wyoming is going to take that to the Wyoming Supreme Court. Just so you know. That's where we are now. Meantime, I'm sure your Wyoming House and Senate will be are already working on legislation for this next legislative session, and whatever they pass will have to come with some kind of a constitutional amendment. So we'll work on that too. Obviously, both at the same time, like I was talking to you about yesterday. This will both happen at the same time, but don't hold your breath. It'll take a while before any of that goes through and gets changed, whether it's a Supreme Court case or it's a piece of legislation. Things like that, even if they were successful, take a while. Now, next up, and I got to answer some of the people who are sending me notes on this. This is one of those stories that drives me nuts and will drive you nuts too. But if you're having trouble waking up, don't worry, it'll get your blood boiling. Better than coffee. All right, here we go. Georgia woman allowed her 10-year-old son to walk not even a mile, not even quite a mile, like 3/4 of a mile, up the road to a store. And so she was arrested for child endangerment, and she's fighting it. And now they said, those officials in Georgia, that they would let her go. I mean, they would drop the charges if she signs a form that outlines a safety plan guaranteeing that her children would always be under her watchful eye. She refused to sign it. She's fighting it. This is ridiculous, which I thank God she's fighting this. And this is not the only time I've ever come across a story like this, but I thought it was so long ago, I thought we were kind of done with it. But no, we're still dealing with this across America. Now, Chet, I was talking to him, several people said that they used to have to walk to school, either walk to the bus stop or walk to school, sometimes over a mile. They're living in places like Wyoming and Montana. And I said, you always have to include uphill in the snow both ways. Chet in Yoder said you grew up in Torrington, Chet? So where he was, there weren't really any hills, but that's okay. You had to walk over a mile into the wind both ways, which is just as bad as walking uphill. Chet says, believe it or not, people said, we got along. Oh, okay. Okay, you're talking about a problem that you got. I'll read that story in just a bit. I'm sorry I missed all of what you said. Hollywood and Laramie. I walked to school from first grade on through the sixth grade. And none of those schools were closer than 2 miles from my home. I had no problem at all. And the laws were way less intrusive way back in the 60s. Yeah, and we should still be doing that. Steve and Casper, don't forget about the first guy. Oh, okay, yeah. I will get back to that, Steve, about the female cow. Reefer in Carpenter, Wyoming, from 8 to 10 years old in the late or early 90s, a friend and I would ride our bikes down Buttermilk Road from Torrington to Lingle to a Mexican restaurant and their park, and then come back home. And then Mike on the video stream, Leeds, South Dakota. I would walk to school 0.3 miles from kindergarten. Is that right, 0.3, or is the period just weird? From kindergarten, when I didn't want to go, I would say 0.3 miles from kindergarten. Okay. I did the same thing. I was in, like I said, I moved to Florida in the first grade. But when I was in kindergarten, I was in New Jersey. And I said that wrong, New Jersey. And Yeah, my mom would get me all ready for school, hand me my lunchbox, and I would just walk to kindergarten and back. Probably about the same distance. In my mind, I picture it about a mile. I'll have to go back and check that neighborhood to see actually how far was it. But it seemed like a mile to me. But anyway, I just did. But to allow kids to go out and play like that is a natural thing. That's why if you want to see a good book, and I'm a big fan of this woman, to fight things like this, she's been at this battle for many years. A woman wrote a book called Free Range Kids, where she talks about exactly this. And like I talked about last hour, one of my favorite things that she, as an activist for this, one of my favorite things that she did was she got a whole bunch of parents, a lot of parents, a lot of them. They all got together to have a party, a barbecue and all of that, and they let the kids, they all showed up with their kids, and those kids got to go about a mile or so up the road to a playground to play while the parents had a party. And the kids were there unsupervised. And they were challenging local authorities, come get us. There's so many of us, come get us. This is a kind of overreach, and it's not just with kids. This is the kind of overreach I've been talking about my entire adult life, especially on radio. And we've just got to stop it. Whenever you see your city council, to name one, because we can go with the county and the state and so on, whenever you see them starting to delve into things like this, you got to show up and make them understand if you want to keep your jobs on the city council, you're going to stop this right now. The job of and I'm going to focus on city council for a moment, because we can certainly go up through county, state, and federal, but what's the job of your city council for those who live in the town? Really? Fill the potholes, keep the street lights on, police and fire, a few basic things like that. They're really not supposed to be doing a whole lot, which is one of the reasons why I never liked the idea of a full-time city council or county commission, for that matter, that constantly met. As far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't be allowed to meet that often. Kind of like here in Wyoming, our Wyoming legislators meet once a year, and we restrict how long they can be in session by a lot. That way, most of the bills they show up with never get through. They die. Good. We intend them to die. That's the point. Now, just so you know, your Wyoming legislators do meet all year long. They have all sorts of committee meetings, and there's all sorts of business they have to take care of. But as far as passing laws, they meet once a year for a very short session. Depends on whether it's a budget session or a legislative session. But roughly, we're talking like a month, and then we're done. And they're not allowed to pass any more laws for the rest of the year. Even then, it's supposed to be that a legislative session where they pass a law is only once every other year. So they're really only allowed to pass laws every other year. We did that in Wyoming, and some other states do that as well, on purpose. So they can't get out of control like that. And that's one of the reasons that I look at city councils and county commissions and say I would love to restrict how often they can meet, because if you let them meet constantly, this is the kind of garbage they come up with. Mantic is in Casper. When I was 10, my dad sent me with a note for a pack of cigarettes. Let me back up, because this is good. When I was 10, my dad sent me with a note for a pack of cigarettes at the service station 6 blocks from home. Man, today he'd be in prison. Yeah, he would be. And I bet you were about 6 years old, they sold you those cigarettes, because they probably knew you and your dad. Yeah, here, son, go buy me some cigarettes. And they would sell them to him. Wolfie in Campion says, I used to ride my bike at 12 across a bridge into Canada. You were in Canada illegally? That's about 8 miles away. And nobody would care, right? Carol in Casper, just curious, if she's in trouble for putting her child in danger, isn't it the responsibility of the city to make the city safe? Therefore, the city is guilty of child endangerment. I like the way you think. Hang on a second now. Why is this is a great question here, Carol? That's a great point. Why isn't it safe for my kid to go walking a mile up the road to the store and back? Is the city unsafe? Whose job is it to make the city safe? Why, wouldn't it be the city? I-80 John in Granite Canyon. At 11 years old, we were allowed to take the subway from Brooklyn through Manhattan to Shea Stadium in Queens. There you go. Hollywood is in Laramie. I grew up in the suburbs of Seattle, Washington, and we didn't have much crime or violence in my hometown. Now, I'll admit, though, growing up on an island as I did, we didn't really have much trouble there. But still, man, did I take some long trips on my bike. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. On air, online, and on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS. This is K2 Radio.
All right, so if you're wondering what I'm going on about, it's just something that always, with good reason, annoys me. I know it does you too. If you're just joining us, a woman in Georgia let her kid go about 3/4 of a mile or so up to a store and back and was arrested for child endangerment. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. Now, Hollywood and Laramie said, and who's one of those kids who went further than that? I certainly did. He said, I also earned money by mowing lawns in our neighborhood that wouldn't be accepted these days. Pushing a power mower down the street. Actually, on that note, a few years ago, there was a big snowstorm in Boston. You know, when a whole pile of global warming fell on Massachusetts, which wasn't supposed to happen because, snow is supposed to be a thing of the past according to the cult of climate change. Anyway, some teenagers saw this as a money-making opportunity, and they were snowed in. I mean, really bad. So these teenagers went around knocking on doors. Hey, shovel your walkway. Shovel your driveway for you. And they wanted to get paid for it. And people were taking advantage of it. And the police show up, the city councils, you can't do that. What if these kids get injured? Well, they're not licensed, they're not insured. So they want to put all these teenagers out of business. This is a great opportunity. This is anything we should be encouraging is that kind of behavior, entrepreneurial behavior in a capitalist society. So anyway, that was fault. Last I heard that the kids were now allowed to do that. But what are you thinking that that's as bad as shutting down lemonade stands? Let's see. He also said something about suburb of Seattle, earn money in neighborhood. Okay, I'm getting a lot of notes from people, so I'm kind of going them. Simple Man in Casper. Now, I know exactly what you're talking about. He says, I grew up in the suburb of Miami called Opelika. I know exactly where you're talking about. Used to pedal our bikes from that town to Palm Springs, north of Hialeah on 163rd Street, the mall there, and even to the beaches on occasion, and there are some pretty good distances, like some of the other people that have mentioned to you. It was back in the 80s. Yeah. And he talks about Carol City and Liberty City. Oh, I know all of those. I was on the other coast, though. On an island. But yeah, I even lived, if you know Mount Dora, Florida. I lived there for a while. And Mount Dora, Florida, beautiful town in the center of Florida. You're thinking a mountain in Florida? Well, by Florida standards, yeah. But boy, did I take my bike on some long trips. And I was not even a teenager yet. And I walked very long distances. And that was fine. But let's get back to what I think is the overall bigger problem here. That is, when we have, first off, we're electing the wrong kind of people. Much like my book, Genericville, when homeowners associations get out of control. Well, city councils, county commissions, state government, federal government can be the same thing. They can get way out of control, and they need to be constantly reminded, that's not what we put you here for. We didn't put you here to micromanage. If you think, and here's the answer to this, if you think me allowing my kid to walk a mile up the road to get something at the convenience store is child endangerment, my answer is mind your own business. You're allowed to think that, but it's none of your business. So, no, don't sit around writing ordinances like that. It's okay for kids to... I mowed lawns when I was a kid. Growing up on that island, there's a lot of old people there, and they're getting too old to mow their lawns. So I made some extra money mowing their lawns. Why the hell not? I have had kids show up at my house when we get really big snow. Kid will show up with a couple of kids with shovels. Clear your walkway? I am happy to help them. Not only do I not have to clear the walkway, which I'm willing to do, but if I can pay them and encourage them as young little capitalists, absolutely, here's some money, plus a tip. So glad you guys are out there doing that. And the idea that, well, they have to get licensed or insured. No, they don't. So again, to those people who hold positions in government, it's not your business. That's not what we put you in office for. Keep the street lights on, fill the potholes, keep the police and fire department going. Things like that. That's what we put you there for. Not to micromanage everybody's lives. It's none of your business. Stay out of it. We'll handle our own lives. Thank you very much. Now, that's not just on them. That's on us, because we keep electing people who think that they're supposed to be writing laws, ordinances on every little thing, that they're supposed to be Karens and Kevins micromanaging our lives. And no, they're not. Coming up on 7:30, local news coming away after local news. We'll get back into it again. Well, weather forecast, and we get back into it. Don Day's on with me at 7:45 for an in-depth look at your weather, and I'll try to squeeze out of him what that weather is going to look like when we get into Thanksgiving time for traveling. Also, some people who want to crash the Trump economy, and it's hysterical how they want to do it. All that's coming up. Wake Up Wyoming.
Wake up, Wyoming. Glenn Woods is live on AM 1030 K2 Radio and the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
7:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right. Off to a different story now, because this one is funny. I think you'll enjoy it. So there's, of course, still a lot of freak out going by those people who are on the hardcore left who still just can't stand that Trump was elected. Now, I'm over it. I mean, it was interesting to watch the freakouts in the beginning, but I moved on from that a long time ago. I'm not watching anymore. They're marginalized. These are people who are in the extreme left, and they have a mental disorder. That's why they're freaking out. We, on the other hand, can get about the business of repairing the country, so let's go ahead and get to that, right? And just let them go ahead and scream and yell like little children. That's fine with me. Here's the latest. This person, Prez Lives 2022, that's their name on Twitter or X, if you will. This person writes, Trump will not have a good economy because we don't have to let him. So hang on. They want Americans to suffer just so they can get at Trump. But all right, reading on. I myself, pause. Maybe it's a grammatical thing. I never did like I myself. It's redundant. Just say I. But all right. I myself plan on paying my bills, good, and saving every penny beyond that. I will not contribute to this economy in any other way. I will buy some clothes before he takes office and make sure I have everything that I need. Oh, okay. So as long as Trump is president, you're not going to ever do shopping. Oh, wait. This person goes on. Let's see, everything I need. I will buy some clothes and make sure I have everything I need for the next 4 years. I will not be eating out unless it is an emergency. Well, hang on now. Miss Mary was nice enough during one of the news and information breaks last hour here. She went up to a local little coffee shop in town, and she came back with a bagel. It's bagel, it's eggs, it's got spinach and onion and tomato on it, all cooked up. It's really nice. And a cup of coffee, and she gave me that. Very nice of her to do that for me. Oh, don't worry, I get her stuff too. So, she decided, I'm buying this breakfast today, and she shows up with that. So that I consider to be an emergency. Miss Mary thought it was an emergency. We were here at work together, and we were getting hungry. I consider that an emergency. But reading on. Hey, sometimes if I'm driving by, like a donut shop and I smell donuts, I call that an emergency. But anyway, so this person will only buy things they absolutely need for the next 4 years. I will not be eating out unless it's an emergency that cannot be avoided. I have already cut my cable a long time ago, but I will not support mainstream media on any app. Well, that's good. No cable news of any kind. Good. Hopefully that will help them detoxify. Reading on. I will not go to the movies. Good. You're not helping out the liberal Hollywood elites. Sporting events or any local attractions. No furniture in the household or goods. They'll have to wait until 2028. So they're going to live with what they have now as furniture. I'm going to install a few other search bars and avoid Google as much as possible. I will not buy a new car before 2028. I will do everything in my power to hold on to as many dollars as possible. I don't care about the consequences of a poor economy. If they want to put us all through some things, I will deny contributions, my money, of my money. And if we all do the same, we can put them through some things at the same time. There will be many ways we can fight back, but holding on to our money is the biggest way to fight back. Part of being the resistance. See, this person now considers themselves part of the resistance. It's everything you do. I will resist this administration in every way possible. Make this your last expensive Christmas. For the next 4 years, hold on to every dollar. Buy based on need, not want. Invest your money in the community by organizations, basically liberal organizations, and by winning liberal races. Okay, when they start up the hotlines to report illegals, starting by reporting MAGA. Yeah. Don't report illegal aliens. Report MAGA. That's what this person wants to do. This is a person who continues on in freak-out mode. And I guarantee you this. That long note that I just read is not going to last very long. That's what this person promises to do. And I guarantee you that promise is going to last a few weeks, and then they're done. If it even lasts that long. Then they're going to go back to living their normal life, if you can call that normal.
You know how people are using pronouns these days, like she, him, her, them, theirs? I want you to start using adjectives when you address me, like spectacular, outstanding, phenomenal, audacious.
Start your day. Wake up, Wyoming, with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
Talk to Don Day from Day Weather. So, Don, of course, let's start with this. There are some people out there going, okay, enough with the wind. When does this stop? Which is soon.
Well,
Ish.
did you mean June?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Instead of
that's
soon?
Kind of soon. Yeah, that's what I meant to say, yeah. No, I mean, we do have a couple of nice days coming up, right?
Well, not bad. We're going to be in between two big storm systems, and today is still going to be windy. That northern plain storm is getting stronger, so there's that pressure gradient we got to deal with. But tomorrow and Friday and Saturday, really quite nice. Yeah. Will the wind go away completely? No. Yeah. But it won't be as bad.
It won't be as bad. Now, there's the next thing I noticed when I was watching your weather podcast this morning on YouTube. Weather-wise, we are surrounded. We're in this nice spot in the middle.
You know that song, Stuck in the Middle with You?
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
That's us.
Okay.
We're actually, if you really look at the weather across the USA, this will be one of the better places to be. over the next 3 days, because that storm to our east will blow up into a big one, and that one off the west coast is stalled. But it's going to cause just miserable weather from central California up into Washington and Oregon, hammering those areas. But high pressure sits in between, and that's where we are.
Okay. Now, I know when we get into the weekend here, I mean, we got one nice day. How's Sunday looking?
Well, as we get into the weekend, we're going to start to see that storm off the Pacific Northwest coast kind of go through its life cycle. But we're going to see the very strong moist jet stream winds associated with it begin to push in to the California coast, into the central Sierra Nevadas. Then we're going to see that strong moist jet stream flow line up with the southern half of Wyoming and northern Colorado and northern Utah. And I've seen this pattern before. It's basically, you hear the word atmospheric, the phrase atmospheric river.
Right.
That's kind of what's going to get pushed into the southern part of Wyoming. And it starts late Saturday night and Sunday morning in southwestern Wyoming, and then across the central and southern parts of the state Sunday, and especially Sunday night into Monday and maybe Tuesday. So there could very well be some snow chances in those areas of the state, along with colder temperatures at the end of the weekend. So that's why we don't want to say it's going to be a nice weekend completely. I think Saturday for just about everybody will be okay, but Sunday is when we'll start to see things change.
Yeah, okay. So, and that's where we got to start glancing. I know you really can't nail it down yet, but people are going to be traveling next week. Are they going to be okay there?
We're going to have some concerns.
Okay.
I think that early in the week, we've got this system to deal with.
Yeah.
We see another system coming in. I don't know if it's going to be on Thanksgiving Day, but I think it may occur during that busy travel period after Thanksgiving into that Black Friday following weekend time frame. So we are going to have more to deal with next week.
All right. Thank you, Don. Don Day with Day Weather. See, as I promised, I was going to sort of squeeze out of him what we know about our forecast for your travel plans for next week. Off to the Icebox we go. Frank Gambino waiting by. Okay, Frank, you've heard, of course, of Area 51.
Yeah, it's over there.
Yes.
They got weird things there.
Well, according to the the Pentagon, there is no such place as Area 51, and that's not what we call it.
They can call it whatever they want,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah.
it's over there. Yeah.
So I saw something on Area 51 on television, and I thought, wait a second now. Is there an Area 51 Wyoming?
No, there's not.
There is.
But
it's
that,
not,
that houses aliens
no,
and the highest quality aircraft we have?
No, it's just called Area 51. There actually is an Area 51. It's Wyoming Game and Fish.
Oh, it's a hunting zone.
Yes, exactly. You can go hunting elk there. There's even places that'll take you on horseback way out there with camping. You can go elk hunting. I mean, there's quite an adventure to have out there. But since the Wyoming Game and Fish Department started naming areas, Area 1, Area 2, et cetera, they eventually got up to and past Area 51, which means Wyoming does have an Area 51.
Are there aliens in the Wyoming Area 51?
No.
Oh.
And look, it's so far out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe Bigfoot?
No.
No, okay.
He doesn't exist.
No, I didn't think so either. But again, now, maybe an alien elk out there. I don't know, but it is in Area 51. And so what I did was I put a story up on the Wake Up Wyoming site. If you would like a look at it on the map, and then please go visit it. And if you survive it and make it back, tell us all about it.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
It could be a big tourist spot along with,
yes,
Yellowstone. And
it's
all
actually
those
near Yellowstone.
Oh.
It's like on the southeastern part of Yellowstone is where this big area up in the mountains, which is why so many people love to go elk hunting up there. And you can get a guide, and again, horses and all of that, to go do exactly that in Wyoming's Area 51. Our Area 51 has to do with hunting.
Oh.
Has nothing to do with space aliens.
There's no green people in Wyoming.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe after you have a bad dinner around the campfire, there's some green people.
Oh.
That's about the best I can. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Frank. I know you wanted space aliens.
Yes,
but,
I did.
It's not going to happen this time around. Hang on a second here. That did not sound right. Let me go back and do that. Do that again. Here we go. There we go.
There we go. All right. College football, the latest playoff rankings for the college football tournament that will feature 12 teams this year. As of right now, they can the latest ratings. Boise State of the Mountain West would be the fourth highest conference champion, rated champion, and would earn a first-round bye. BYU, with a loss to Kansas last week, dropped out of a chance for a first-round bye. Boise State is rated 12th in the country with a record of 9-1. That is bad news for a woeful Wyoming Cowboy team that is 2-8, and they'll play the Broncos in Laramie on Saturday night. Beleaguered Cowboy run offense will have to deal with Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, who is a Heisman Trophy candidate with close to 1,900 yards rushing this year. UW is finally acknowledging recruiting misses that is dating back years as one of the reasons why they're at the bottom of the football pile, and there are many reasons. And many have questioned why running back Harrison Whaley had just 8 carries in the loss to Colorado State last week. It's been a train wreck, man. The train wreck has just 2 more games to go. Game time against Boise will be 5 p.m. at War Memorial Stadium in Laramie. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Here's a rundown of some of the former Wyoming Cowboys, what they did in the NFL over the weekend, topped by Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen. His 26-yard run late in the game on 4th down and 2 for a touchdown iced the game for the Bills, handing Kansas City their first loss of the season, 30-21. May have been the play of the year in the NFL, with Allen showing smarts and super athletic ability on that play and incredible toughness. It was amazing. Allen was 27 of 40 for 262 yards in the game. Buffalo is 9-2, by the way. Cincinnati linebacker Casper native Logan Wilson had 8 tackles and a forced fumble in their 34-27 loss to the LA Chargers. The Bengals are just playing bad at 4-7. New Orleans defensive lineman Carl Granderson with 4 tackles and a sack in the Saints' 35-14 win over Cleveland. New Orleans is bad, too. They're 4-7. Junior college soccer, LCCC from Cheyenne, eliminated from the national tournament in Wichita, Kansas. Yesterday by the top seed, Iowa Western 3-0. The Golden Eagles did post a win in pool play over Tyler, Texas 3-2 on Monday, but their season comes to an end at 12-6-3. Wyoming Cowboy basketball team will host Southeastern Louisiana on Friday night in Laramie at 6:30. Wyoming Cowgirl basketball team will host Colorado Christian Friday morning at 11 a.m. And that's it in sports.
Who's playing on Thanksgiving?
I'd have to look. I know the Detroit Lions always play.
Yes, okay.
And they're very good.
Yes,
and to thrill the nation, the Dallas Cowboys will be on. And they are so bad, the country loves it. America's team, my rear end.
So you will tune into a game just because the team that you really hate, you want to watch them suck.
No, I tune into the games and I want to deal with people in the room having Thanksgiving dinner that I want to talk to.
Okay. That's why Frank is watching the game. Just hand him a plate.
Yeah, that's all it is. Hey, Frank, you need something else?
Yeah,
no, I'm good.
You're watching the game over here. Yeah. All right, thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business I got to take care of. And we're going to roll into news time after that. National, local, update on the weather forecast. Open phones in the 8 o'clock hour. So it's 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS. You can talk about what I'm talking about, change the subject, fine. I'll just kind of roll with it. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Six the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Wednesday, and over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Home Defense Paperweights.
Rocks.
They look like rocks, but, well, they're actually rocks.
Yeah, it's okay. As long as you hit your mark, I think you're doing just fine.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave, all right, strap in. And let's do this thing.
888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS if you want to call into the show. And you do not have to talk what I'm talking about. You can go ahead and change the subject. A lot of people are texting me off the Wake Up Wyoming app, and you can certainly do that too. Just download the Wake Up Wyoming app at your app store. It's free. Hit the chat option and just start sending me text messages. All right, real quick, I have been doing a daily wellness check on Liz Cheney. I haven't heard a thing from her in a while. I assume she's now sleeping it off in a stage of depression. So I went to her website, the one that she put up with her think tank organization, to try to make sure that Trump was not reelected. And there has been nothing posted on it since election night. Not a word, nothing. So I'll let you know. I think that she's probably in her closet or under her bed right now, sucking her thumb, one of those things. If I hear from her, I'll let you know. All right, so real quick, a review of some Wyoming stories for you. So yesterday I told you that a judge in Teton County had ruled that the state of Wyoming cannot declare abortion to be illegal because abortion is health care, according to the judge. And so the Wyoming Constitution has a line in it that says, it's just a quick little sentence. It basically says your health care choices are your own, and government's not allowed to interfere with that. So that's where she said, well, abortion's health care, therefore it's unconstitutional. So Governor Gordon is immediately taking this to the Wyoming Supreme Court. In the meantime, your Wyoming House and Senate will try to pass legislation which would entail an amendment to the Constitution in Wyoming, change the Constitution a little bit to allow it. So that's what's underway, and as I told you yesterday when we were talking about this, don't hold your breath waiting. That's not to say they can't change these things. If they can or not, that's a whole different debate. But to get it done, if they were able to get it done, either through the Supreme Court or through amending the Constitution, both take a while. But they're working on it right now. So there's the latest there. All right, now, you'll love this headline. Geology, let me pause for a moment there. I love sciences. I geek out about sciences. I like reading and watching things about astronomy, astrophysics, theoretical physics. Geology, I just love sciences in general. So if somebody shows something, whether it's something I can read or watch, whatever the case is, and it's science-driven, I consume it because I just love learning about the wonders of our world and of the universe. So, along with a couple of friends here in Wyoming, I follow a lot of geology because moving to Wyoming, this state, people who are in training to become geologists from all over the world come to Wyoming to study it because so much is exposed here and old, really old. There's a lot to study here that goes way back. So here's the headline. Geology is racist and linked to white supremacy, claims a Queen's Mary, University of London professor. I thought these people on the left, so they said that they were pro-science. So how do you figure, okay. A geography professor at a leading British university has described the study of rocks and the natural world as racist and linked the academic field to white supremacy. She lectures at the prestigious Queen Mary University of London and said that geology as a subject was riven by systemic racism and influenced by heavy colonialism. The study of prehistoric life through fossils was also branded as an enabler for racism, with the professor referring to the field of paleontology as pale, as in P-A-L-E, ontology. And if you look at this person, she looks a little weird. But anyway, arguing that geology began as a colonial practice, the professor stated in her book, Geological Life, that the extraction of metals such as gold and iron had created hierarchies and pushed materialism and ravaged the environment and was the route to cause climate change, claiming that geology continues to function within white supremacist axis. The academic refers to the theft of land and mining other geological practices as having led them to the creation of white supremacy. Okay, hang on a second. If she's going to go down this road Pause for just a minute here. Have you taken a look at where we get the materials to build wind and solar? Yeah, that's a lot of rare earth minerals that we have to go for. Geology. And much of that comes from places like Africa, which has child slave labor, literal child slave labor, and China, which is also slave labor. So if she wants to make this argument, she's got to be against wind and solar power. I wonder if anyone's told her that. Anyway, this professor's new book focuses on geology between the 17th century and 19th century and puts forward the notion that non-white people have a closer relationship to the land than white people. And by the way, she's a white person. Broadly, black, brown, and indigenous have intimacy with the earth that is unknown to the structural position of whiteness. So she's also a racist, too. She is described as a professor of inhuman geography on the official Queen Mary University website. I would just fire her right now. I mean, if I were her boss, but okay. Recently, there have been demands from activists and students around the UK to decolonize university courses, which have been supported by educational bodies such as the Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education. Well, apparently the Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education has flunked if they have a person like this. This movement, the story says, utilizes critical race theory, there you go, to back up its arguments that subject matter taught in UK universities is inherently male and white and serves to further perpetual Western ideas through racism. She says to tell the story of rocks is to account for a eugenic materialism in which white supremacy made sacrifices to build... Hang on, let me pause. Okay, she blathers on. Let's go back a minute. When the first, the Spanish found South America, they found different kingdoms in South America, all of which the Aztecs and so on, you know. And if you want to see how brutal they were, human sacrifice, slaves, all that kind of stuff. And they were really into gold and silver and stuff like that, but not for the reasons we were. They didn't take it for the same value that we did. It was more of a spiritual thing. And these Native Americans would murder each other, in fact, commit genocide over things like gold. And it wasn't just Europeans that did that. Let's go take a look at the Chinese. I wonder if anyone's ever talked to her about what's happened in India over not just things like gold and bronze and et cetera, but things like salt. Yeah. So she's only blaming white people for this. She's never taken a look at the rest of the world. Yeah, okay. This is your modern-day educational system for you.
Rant alert to everyone telling me to go drink bleach. I'm not thirsty.
When you need to know quicker than the morning paper or the 5 o'clock news, you need Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Mornings on K2 Radio.
8:21 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. All right, 888-97 Woods, the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS. Okay, getting away from the nutball professor for a while. Those people are just so easy to make fun of. Back in Wyoming here, there's a dam about 20 miles west of Douglas. And if you people out there can help me with this, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. La Prelle Dam, Laprele. Am I saying that right? It's what it looks like to me, La Prelle Dam. But anyway, I've been watching this for just a little while here. It's a dam that has reached the end of its life. And there's talk about demolishing it here in Wyoming, but then building a new dam to be completed by 2029. And people in the area are upset about this because to demolish the dam puts some people who live downstream at risk, not of immediate flooding. They wouldn't do that to them. They're not just going to blow it up and let it all wash down, which would be cool to watch, but not good for the people who live down there. No, they would drain down the dam and then go ahead and blow it up. And then the idea is, well, then we start construction of a new dam. Now, before I read a little bit more about this, the story I'm looking at, it's a WildFile put it up. And they have a bunch of people from the state who are down there at the base of the dam taking a look at it and discussing what to do here. This dam is starting to have problems. So they have to do something. I mean, there's cracks, there's problems in the dam. That's part of the reason for demolishing it. What gets me is the people who are down there taking a look at it, they're all standing around wearing these hard hats for absolutely no reason. I've always wondered about that. It's like when you see someone wearing a mask way after COVID, which it didn't even work during COVID, but they're still wearing masks. It's over. Stop it. They're at the bottom of a dam talking about what they're going to do to the dam. But no construction work is actually happening, and everybody's wearing a hard hat. I would be the guy walking around without one. And I would look at them, and if someone said, you got to put a hard hat on. Why? Are you blowing up the dam now? No? Then we're good. All right, so the story says this is from WildFile, the Select Water Committee last week went to address the issues stemming from the state's number one order to demolish this dam 20 miles west of Douglas. After years of monitoring the deteriorating conditions of the dam, and they decided, well, at this point, it's a catastrophic threat. So before the whole thing goes bust and really hurts people downstream, drain the water out. And the panel split a draft bill into measures and agreed to continue the conversation in December. One purpose of the new stipulation, the story says, mandated economic analysis, public meetings. You want to get the public involved in this. To the state's engineering authority in issuing a breach order for dams or diversions. The other bill would help ensure that rights to stored water are maintained during the construction. So there's a lot to go through here because it affects a lot of people. La Perelle, we pronounce it as one word. So I was doing La Perelle, so it's La Perelle. Am I doing that right, Chad? Okay. I'm trying to get it right because I haven't heard it said out loud before. But okay. It irrigates. Meantime, they definitely need help from state and federal agencies to secure funding for the dam's replacement, which would cost about $118 million, they think. Coming up with the funds for that is almost impossible. That's a quote for the irrigation district. We need assistance from the legislator, or that just won't happen. The state set aside $30 million and has secured another $32 million grant from the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act for the dam's demolition and replacement. The state hopes to win another $56 million in federal money for this. Agricultural community has relied on stored water, and this is a big deal here. The stored water is what the agricultural community worries about because, let's see, when did I say they were going to put this? 29? They would hope to have the new dam up in 2029. So what do they do for water in the meantime? It's not a matter of, should they demolish the dam? The dam is getting old, it's falling apart. They're going to have to do something like this and replace it. It's going to have to happen. So, of course, people are upset, but you got to do it, right? So how do they go about this? This is what they're working on right now. The regional economic implications have already come into play. The story says several years ago, the state ordered the reservoir behind the dam to be maintained, but at a lower level to avoid stress on the concrete structure, resulting in smaller late-season water deliveries. An estimated 33% reduction in hay production has happened because of that. That has forced many buyers who typically rely on the dam for irrigation, they've had to try to find something else. So now, the next question is water rights under threat without the normally legally funded use of stored creek water between now and when the dam was built. Some fear that downstream irrigators, including Nebraska, might push for an abandonment, which is the district's water rights, because we have water basically Nebraska, other places. But in this case, with that dam, Nebraska, we have deals. It's not just our water. The western states made deals with other surrounding western states because we're all low on water out here, so we try to help each other out. So if you do something like this, then what do you do for the few years up until 2029 when they estimate having this thing up and running again? What do we do to make sure that we're fulfilling our obligations to the deals we made for people to get water on downstream? So that's what they're dealing with. It's a matter of it has to get done, but you can see the problems in getting it done. What's the problems that are going to be caused all along the way? Now, what still drives me nuts about this whole thing is the picture of all of these engineers standing there near the bottom of the dam, not right at the bottom, but near the bottom of the dam, talking about what to do, and they're all wearing hard hats. That's going to drive me absolutely nuts because they're not doing anything. They're just standing there having a conversation about it. Nothing is actually happening. No work is being done. So why are you wearing your hard hats? Does it make a good photo op or something like that? I don't understand. That's the kind of stuff that, while there's important issues, that's the kind of stuff. Let me go real quick over here and see. This is Leonard about the dam. Oh, I lost him. Okay. If you want to call back, Leonard, about the dam, please do, because we got to get into some news and information here, and then we'll get into a weather forecast, and then I have a nice long segment of open phones. So, Leonard, if you would like to call back right at the end of the news break and talk about the dam, I am happy to do that. I would love to hear what you have to say. You know the number, 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS. Anybody else who wants to get in on this or anything else I've been talking about is just fine with me. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
This show contains sarcasm that some listeners may find disturbing. A sense of humor is advised. Chat with Glenn live on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
It's got leaks, it's got problems, it needs to be replaced. She says, my husband grew up on a ranch literally across the road from this, probably 60 years ago. He said that even then it was leaking and causing trouble. Now they're concerned. Now, Mike and Casper has a good point. If they're going to draw down this dam and blow it up, which I want to be there for the blowing up part, what about all the fish? Can we have a no-limit fishing week? You see, I think you're on to something there. We should be able to have a no-limit fishing week. And then when they finally drain it all the way down, anything that's still flopping around there at the bottom after they let all the water out should be fair game, as far as I'm concerned. All right, 888-97-WOODS, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. So, let's go back to Washington, D.C. real quick. There is, hang on. Phone ringing again. I want to make sure, because we had a gentleman try to call earlier. This is him again. Leonard's on the phone. A lot of noise in the background there. Morning, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good, sir. What you got for me?
Well, I grew up under the Laparelle Dam, irrigated as a kid there till I went off to college. I climbed over every stitch of that dam. The dam is getting older, but it is nowhere near a catastrophic failure. They've had an engineer in there that was trying to get a new one in and found some cracks that do need to be addressed. Not saying that they don't need to go in and make some fixes, but it is nowhere near from a catastrophic failure. There's so much iron and rebar and concrete in that thing, it just can't fall flat.
Right.
The problem I'm seeing now is let's get in and get another engineering firm in there to give us another opinion, to go in and put in some strengthening spots on it. But to take that dam out would risk the people of that creek that have had flood protection for 115 years of getting catastrophically wiped out. I've seen Laparelle Creek. We got trapped with a bunch of cows up above the dam one year, and I've seen it flow as much water as probably the Platte River.
Okay.
And the people down below that dam, which I have a brother that has structures right on the creek, and I got 3 cousins that would be literally taking out their houses and everything they own by it. We don't need to knock it out. We need to go in there and make some repairs, maybe keep the level down a little bit until we have those repairs made, or a replacement if it can be done. But you take it out, you totally opened up those people to catastrophic floods that would not only take out the Natural Bridge Park, but all the diversion structures that put the water into the canals below that.
Okay. So this is the same river then that flows through the Natural Bridge Park?
Yes, the Laparelle Creek.
Got it. Okay. Okay. I didn't realize that was the same one. All right. That's interesting. Did not know that part. All right. So, yeah, I think if they haven't done it already, second opinion, great idea. Let's see what they say.
Yes, it's necessary, because if the state would put in that breach order, then they've just literally taken out all the protection. And we have so many interests out there that for wildlife and people that hate dams on streams that would put that whole thing in jeopardy, put it in court for years, may never get another dam put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And say, there's good fisheries above it, and we'd wipe all that out. We'd put all that trash and sediment down there. You'd wipe out every tree on the creek. And another thing I'd like to address, there was a news article out there that was saying that, well, if the thing collapsed, it would take out Glendale Reservoir.
Yeah.
I served on the irrigation council for years where we knew about these various dams on the Platte River. Glendale has a capacity of 550,000 acre feet of normal capacity. The government put it in to have another 200,000 that is there for flood control. Well, the Laparelle Dam only holds 20,000 acre feet, and Glendale's designed to take another 200,000 without endangering any structures. So it's just not correct to say we'd endanger that many people downstream. But the biggest thing is, let's leave the protection in we have till we get a replacement dam or a repaired dam that everybody agrees doesn't have a problem.
Okay. Good advice and all that. Thank you for calling back. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So 888-97 Woods, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. And as soon as he told me where that was, I didn't know that this was the same one that fed right through Natural Bridge. So let me see. There's Glendale State Park. I'm taking a look at that right now and where the dam is. So there would be, okay, I got it now. Ayers Natural Bridge. Okay. So this is a long, thin reservoir. I can see it now from above and see what the dam is. I didn't know that there was, until we started going with this, that there was even a dam up there in that area. But, and now that I take a look at it, I think I might have driven by that before and not known that that's what I was looking at. So what do you know? Kind of a pretty little area down there. All right, so let's see what we're... second opinion, I don't mind. I think that's probably a good idea. If some residents in the area would like a second opinion. Tim and Casper, so what about the historic value? Well, I'd look at it as not so much as because it's not an exciting-looking dam. It's not really an exciting-looking dam. It really is. It's just this big wall that they have up there holding back some water in an area where it made sense to put one, because when I take a look at this, it's kind of a tight little area up in the mountains. So it makes sense. Just put a dam up there, hold back some water. We can get some good water out of it, and that's fine. So I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to pretend that I know all about this, but I do like the idea of, can we get a second opinion? Because right now the current engineers are saying, yeah, we got some structural problems. And by the way, certain dams do have a lifespan. Depends on what one you're talking about. But some dams do have a lifespan where they go ahead and put it up and realize that this can stay here for X number of years, then we're going to have to replace it. And they don't worry about it when they build the thing because they're not going to be alive to see the replacement. So people down the road, people in the future are going to have to worry about how to replace this. And that might be what we're dealing with here. But all right. Chet Yoder said he said it properly. Okay. No, I thought that was a very good phone call. I liked what he had to say about that, and I don't have any problem at all with getting a second or a third opinion. And I don't know, not having been there, not being an engineer, whether you can just maybe draw it down for a time, do some repair work on it, let it fill back up. I don't know. But that's part of the discussion they're having right now. I do know also part of this discussion is asking for public input on it. So you make sure if this is of concern to you, you go ahead and find out where you can put some public input and show up to some of the meetings so we can help these guys make a good decision on something like this. But all right, that's where we're at right now. I still think this is a really good idea, though, if we end up doing this, that we should have an open fishing season with no license, nothing. Just let people go there and fish it out. And then when they do drain down the water with all the fish flopping around on the bottom, we should be allowed just to walk out there and pick those suckers up and go home with them. That part of our discussion I greatly approve. 8:45, Wake Up One.
This program is intended for immature audiences only. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Weekdays at 6 on air, on Alexa, and 24/7 on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
Is waiting by. So, Frank, you're kind of a frugal, tightwad of a guy, right?
Yeah, I have to, every nickel counts.
Okay, so let me see. Taking a look at things that people stupidly spend money on. Online shopping, they go onto Amazon to save money. They spend more money than if they had gone to the store.
Well, I think a lot of places, it's like golf stores. I think they're predatory. You go in there for a glove, and then you end up with 2 clubs and a dozen golf balls because you just can't help it.
Yes. Yeah, and usually I take a look at a great deal. That is a phenomenal deal. But the thing that's sitting right next to it is so much better.
Yeah. Then you choose that too, and then shipping and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, there's a big thing, shipping. Oh yeah, hey, it's only $15, and by the time you get done with shipping, it's like $45. So why? Yeah. Okay. Let's see, car insurance. Most people buy way too much car insurance. Credit card debt.
Well, yeah. If you don't have it, you're not living.
Yes, there you go. Well, I'm not living then.
Well,
I'm debt free.
Well, then you're frugal.
Yeah, I'm weird. That's good. Let's see. Home repairs. Don't let home repairs drain your bank account, it says. Do you actually even repair your home, Frank, at all?
Well, I changed a couple of light bulbs yesterday.
Okay. Because I figure you're letting your house fall apart the same way you're letting yourself fall apart.
No. I mean, I try to, make sure it's habitable,
Okay. Let's see. Restaurants and delivery meals. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, they're pricing themselves out of business.
Oh, God.
And stop being lazy. I mean, you know what? Go and get it yourself.
God, I used to enjoy this a lot, is I would get off work and I would go get a sandwich somewhere. Yeah. But that's where I could do that for like $3.
Not anymore.
No. Way too much expensive. Let's see. Stop going to coffee shops every single day. Just stop it. Stop.
That's $6-7 plus a tip.
Yeah.
And there are people who do that 3 times a day, Glenn.
Oh, God.
Think about that.
Yes. And then
3 times, they're spending $21, $22, $23 a day.
And then you added something to that, which is really important. Now you got to buy something that was going to cost you just a couple of bucks. But as you put your card in there to pay for it, right away it says, and leave a tip.
No.
And when you do that, all of a sudden it got expensive, right?
Yeah. Tipping is another universe. Yeah.
Yes. So just stay home and do nothing, and you'll save a lot of money.
Absolutely. All right, here's a rundown of what some of the former Wyoming Cowboy football players did in the NFL over the weekend, topped by Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen. What a play. He had a 26-yard run on 4th down and 2 late in the game for a touchdown that iced the win for the Bills 30-21 over Kansas City, giving the Chiefs their first loss of the season. That may have been the play of the year in the NFL. Allen showed smart, super athletic ability, and toughness. Remember that? Toughness. It was an incredible run. Allen was 27-40 for 262 yards. Buffalo, by the way, is 9-2. Cincinnati linebacker and Casper native Logan Wilson continues to be tough. He had 8 tackles and a forced fumble in their 34-27 loss to the LA Chargers. The Bengals just playing bad at 4-7. New Orleans defensive lineman Carl Granderson also playing tough with 4 tackles and a sack in the Saints' 35-14 win over Cleveland. New Orleans is having a bad season too at 4-7. In college football, the latest playoff rankings are off for the 12-team championship tournament that will be at the end of the season. As of right now, Boise State of the Mountain West would be one of the 4 highest conference champions and earning a first-round bye as of right now. BYU, with a loss to Kansas last week, dropped out of a chance for a first-round bye. Boise State is rated 12th in the country with a 9-1 record. That's bad news for the Wolf of Wyoming Cowboys at 2-8, who will play the Broncos in Laramie on Saturday night. The beleaguered Cowboy run defense will have to deal with Boise running back Ashton Genty, who is a Heisman Trophy candidate with close to 1,900 yards rushing this year with 26 scores. UW is finally acknowledging recruiting misses dating back years as one of the reasons why they're at the bottom of the football pile. And many have questioned why running back Harrison Whaley had just 8 carries in their loss to Colorado State last week. It's a train wreck. And game time at against Boise State and Laramie will be at 5 p.m. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Wyoming Cowboy basketball team will host Southeastern Louisiana on Friday night in Laramie at 6:30. Wyoming Cowgirl basketball team will host Colorado Christian on Friday morning at 11. In junior college soccer, LCCC from Cheyenne was eliminated from the national tournament in Wichita, Kansas by the top seed Iowa Western 3-0. Golden Eagles did post a win in pool play over Tyler, Texas 3-2 on Monday, but at the Region 9 champions, their season comes to an end with a record of 12-6-3. And that's it in sports.
And the purpose of football on Thanksgiving is so Frank doesn't have to talk to anyone.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
Well, you could talk football, I guess.
Fine. He doesn't care what game is being played, who's playing, doesn't matter. He's just sitting in front of the television so he can get a free meal and not have to talk to anybody.
The best thing the NFL did was add that third game.
Really?
Because they only used to have 2, and then at night everyone kind of would stare at each other going, all right, let's just take a nap. But guess what? They have another game.
Oh, God, thank God for that. But then you got to throw in all your pre-game and post-game shows and all of that.
There's plenty to watch. Just find the recliner.
Okay. And then just when all of that is over with, that's when you're taking a nap on that recliner. So nobody better talk to you.
And you know what? probably wouldn't be the only one either.
Yes, all right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. I got roll into news time after that national local update on the weather forecast. 888-97 Woods, the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS. Wake Up Wyoming. 9:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Wednesday, and over the hump we go. 888-97 Woods, the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS.
Today's show is sponsored by Home Defense Paperweights. They look like rocks, but
they're rocks.
Well, they're actually rocks.
But as long as your aim is good, I think you'll do just fine.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. Now, last hour I was talking about a dam in the state of Wyoming that is to the west of Douglas, and I just found out and was able to look it up. If you know where the Natural Bridge is, it's to the west of the Natural Bridge. And that dam, according to engineers, has been leaking. It's getting old. It's past its lifespan. They want to draw it down and blow it up and then build a new dam there, which is causing a lot of concern for people who live in and around the area, and they would like to find maybe something better than blowing up the dam. Chris is calling in about it. Morning, Chris. Whoops, and I just lost Chris. Okay, Chris, if you have a chance to call back. So what happened there, Miss Mary, is I heard a snap pop, and then Chris disappeared. So I wonder if there's a problem there. And I'm going to go ahead, and I don't think this will do anything. I'm going to unplug that and plug that back in again. And let's see if that helps. I doubt it. I probably just makes things a whole lot worse. Chris, if you want to try again, 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. I know you're hanging for a bit, and I'd like to hear what you have to say. I'm going to swing back up in the meantime to Washington, D.C. This, to me, is interesting because, once again, we have an example of Republicans, especially old guard Republicans, not standing their ground on something. Now, to me, this is not a matter of whether you agree or not. Forget that for a minute. Someone who should stand their ground if they want the respect of the party, but they're not going to. So what's happened is we have someone who was elected to the House of Representatives who is, as they call, transsexual or whatever you want to call it. Okay, they have made the transition from male to female. And so there's a congresswoman, newly elected, who's saying she's going to put in legislation to make sure that this person is not allowed in the women's restroom in Congress. And Congress has never had this problem before. This is kind of new. Here's what this congresswoman has to say.
The radical left is calling me an extremist for being a feminist, fighting to protect the rights of women and girls. If being a feminist makes me an extremist or a bigot or a monster, I am totally here for it because I'm going to fight like hell for every woman and every little girl across this country to protect you and keep you safe.
Okay, so you heard her walking there. Nancy Mace is her name. So she does not like the idea of someone who calls themselves transgendered being allowed into the women's room in Congress. As a woman, she said, no, use the men's room, is essentially what she's saying. Okay, so let's see, this is Libs of TikTok. The person dressed up as a woman won a congressional seat and is very mad that women don't want him using the women's restroom on Capitol Hill. So that's an interesting debate Congress has talked about before, but this is, I think, the key, not had to deal with. So how are the Republicans dealing with it, especially the old guard? Well, hang on, because Chris is back to talk about the dam, and I'm going to try him again. Chris, you there?
Chris is a girl.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I am. I'm from Montana, but I don't get your station in very much, but it's coming in loud and clear today, and I really like the guy who called in a little bit ago regarding the second opinion. I think that's only logical, and I know I'm sticking my nose in business. I shouldn't, but I wanted to address another a thought on that. You had said you wanted to be there when it blows up, and wow, I think we all would like to see that.
It just would be
fun.
really fun to see, is all I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, but let's go to the blowing up and then the open fishing.
Yeah.
And I agree with the open fishing beforehand, that's great and everybody can come and no license and that makes sense too. But my concern is, okay, so it blows up, all this water comes, and then we're talking about the flopping fish in the bottom of what's left, and people coming and picking them up, which people most likely might bring children to that too.
Sure.
And my concern is, wouldn't there be a safety issue there with all this dam blowing up and the water coming down and then all the mudslides and
can we
who's going to keep everybody safe?
As long as we're doing this, maybe we can get some people who are into whitewater rafting, because what they want to do is draw down the water and then blow up the dam. But if we left the water in the dam, all of those whitewater rafters would have a great time going all the way down to Glendale. I think that'd be just a hoot. We could probably charge for that. But, they won't do it because of safety issues, so they wouldn't do that.
That's a safety issue.
Yes, it would
oh
be.
My goodness. Oh, my. Well, I just thought, somebody should be there if they do decide to go pick up fish before they die, and there's a short span in there. Somebody should be there to watch all these people.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe pushing the starting line to get there, before the fish die.
I would now, in all seriousness, I think the way they would do this is let the dam drain out, right? And I don't know what to do with the fish in there, but they would let the dam drain out. And then they would go ahead and demolish this. And if they blew it up, there would be nobody nearby. Everybody would be a really safe distance. However, though, I would hope that they would have cameras on it because some of us would like to witness that.
I see. Oh, well, that sounds a lot better to me.
It does.
Thank you for explaining that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no. Where are you in Montana?
Martinsdale.
Martinsdale, Montana. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you listening all the way up in Martindale. You can always just download the Wake Up Wyoming app. That way you don't have to worry about catching the radio station whenever you can.
Okay. Well, it's just I never get it, and here it is, and I was really enjoying your program.
I appreciate it. Thanks for calling. I appreciate you calling back, too, after that last call kind of dumped out on you. Thanks for calling.
Yep.
All right. Now I got to go take a look at where is Martinsdale, not Martinsdale, but Martindale, Montana. I know I do stuff like this. Let me see. There's a map of that there. So where the heck could... Well, I mean, we have... I get it. I can tell you exactly where this is. And it makes a whole lot of sense. And so go... No, that's not going to be it. Okay. Well, it took me down to Colorado. That's not what I said. Martindale, I said Montana. Let's see if I get something with it. There we go. Okay. So there's this little tiny town with not much of a population. And I want to see where this would be located. I'm just curious as to where some people listen from. And, wow, that's way out there in Montana. So I want you to picture, okay, let's go up to Billings. Okay, we're not done yet. We're going to go to the north a little bit, but mostly west. Way out there, around White Springs, around Hawthorne. Oh, wow, you're really way out there. Well, I appreciate you getting our signal way the heck out there. Anybody who wants to listen anywhere that's outside of one of our radio signals, you can always do that. Just download the Wake Up Wyoming app and just listen off your phone anytime you want to do that. All right, so, Chet wants to do the rafting thing. Okay, my idea is don't draw down the water on the dam. Allow whitewater rafters and people not just rafts, but kayaks, stuff like that, to just go ahead and line up at the dam, blow up the dam, and let them just surf it all the way in.
What about a talk show host? Talk show host, that's good. I think I'd be good at that. I talk to people all the time. Someone even told me once they thought I'd be a good talk show host. Really? Yeah, a couple of people. I don't get that, though. Where do you start? Well, that's where it gets tricky. You can't just walk into a building and say, I want to be a talk show host. Well, they tend to give those jobs people that are, in broadcasting. Well, that's really not fair.
Take Glenn anywhere with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. You can call in and interrupt me, and it's fine. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about at this point because it is open phones, which I give you at some point every day of the week. 888-97-WOODS, the phone number, or 888-97-WOODS. Also, download the Wake Up Wyoming app. There's lots of people who just text me while I'm on the air by using the chat option on the Wake Up Wyoming app. And don't forget, old shows become a podcast, and they're condensed. We get rid of news, sports, weather, most commercials, and just give you the podcast version of the program whenever you have time to listen to it. Touch the on-demand option, Wake Up Wyoming, and go ahead and select your episode. All right, so, again, you can interrupt me, but now I want to play this for you. So, there is now a member of the House of Representatives who has born biologically male, now identifies as a female, is now a member of Congress. Now, this has not happened before, and so this person wants to go use the women's room. There's one Congresswoman, Republican, And she has just started. She's new in Congress. She's just started. And immediately her answer was, oh, hell no. And so she wants to pass legislation, which, of course, not one Democrat will vote for, to say, no, you can't do that. You're going to have to use the men's room. Now, my point in this, because you can offer whatever opinion you want on it, okay, but none of us like it when a member of Congress avoids the question. That's one of the biggest problems that people had with Kamala Harris as she was running. Ask her a question and she wouldn't answer it. She'd dance around. So here is the Democrat Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson. And he was asked about this. Now, I'm going to play this for you, and you tell me if he's answering the question. Because as far as I'm concerned, for the sake of argument, I don't care if he's in favor of this person using the ladies' room or not. That's not my issue here. My issue is he's not taking a stand. So here's the question and his answer.
Mr. Speaker, is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman?
Look, I'm not going to get into this. We welcome all new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with dignity and respect, and we will.
I wonder, is that a little bit too low for you there? Okay, let me go ahead and translate for you, because as I play this, I'm thinking, that sounds kind of low on my end. Let me go ahead and just read the transcript. Is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman? He's Speaker Johnson, a Republican, says, I'm not going to get into this. We welcome all new members with open arms and are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command. We treat all persons with dignity and respect. We will, and I'm not going to engage in a silly debate about this. There's a concern about the use of restroom facilities and locker rooms and all that. This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before. We're going to do that in a deliberate fashion with member consensus on it. And we will accommodate the needs of every single person. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, I'd like to know, just my thought here. Is that person answering the question? I don't think Speaker Johnson, a Republican, answered the question. Sounds to me like he danced around the question. Now, that's where I say, I don't care what your answer is. You could be for this person using the women's bathroom or against whatever you want to do. But just answer the damn question. That's all I ask. Just answer the question. Which I'm listening to Speaker Johnson going, you didn't. You danced around it. That's part of the problem that I think the American people have is, and that's, again, what Kamala Harris, the same thing. One of the biggest complaints that even liberals had with her campaign is her inability to answer a question. And I think all of us are sick and tired of politicians acting like politicians and not answering a question and dancing around. So pick a side. Even if I disagree with his answer, at least he picked a side. And now we know what he's going to fight for. Now, the way I look at it, I don't know what's going to happen in Congress here, but the way I look at it is some Republicans will go ahead and put up a bill, or however they deal with rules, in Congress, but we'll put up some kind of a bill that says this person has to use the woman's or the men's room. And I think that every Democrat will vote against it. I think you can agree with me on that. And most Republicans will vote in favor of the bill. We'll see how many. And then where it goes from there, I don't know. How they do their rulemaking there, I don't know. I also kind of wondered, I don't know, do they have private bathrooms? I know they have big public restrooms, but do members of Congress have to go to the big public restrooms, or does anyone have a private bathroom? So that's not an issue? We'll see. This ought to be interesting. But whatever your position on it, Congressman, especially the Republican Speaker of the House, pick a side and say something. Quit dancing around. I think the American people are really sick of that from all politicians. And there are plenty of politicians that I've heard over the years who've said things that I really completely disagree with, but at least they speak their mind. And I know where they stand on an issue. This is where, as much as I go insane listening to Ocasio-Cortez, I'll just flat out say it. Ocasio-Cortez is an idiot. She's just an idiot. But at least she's telling us what she really thinks. Bernie Sanders has always been one of the dumbest members of Congress. But Bernie Sanders at least tells you what he thinks. I would rather listen to them and get annoyed by what they're telling us. I'd rather do that than listen to someone who tap dances and never says anything. I don't know about you, but I was done with that a long time ago. Coming up on 9:30, local news coming your way after local news update on the weather forecast, and you and I get back into it. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97 WOODS. Wake Up Wyoming.
Download the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Listen anywhere and chat live with Glenn during the show on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
Because we got something weird with the phones. Trying to fix it here. But I got a couple of callers on the trans bathroom. If you're just joining me in Congress, someone was elected to Congress that was born biological male. Now this person identifies as female, and there's some Republican congresswomen that are saying, you're not coming into the ladies' room in Congress. That's the fight they're having right now. Melissa's in Casper. Morning, Melissa. Now, hang on. Now I got nothing from Melissa. All right, Melissa, hang on. I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold again. And let's try James, who's also in Casper. James, you there?
I am, Glenn. Good morning.
Good morning. What you got?
Well, your story about theology reminded me of a research paper, a well-funded research paper at the University of Oregon that came out in 2016. And I think you and your audience will get a kick out of this. The title, Glaciers, Gender, and Science, a Feminist Glaciology Framework for Global Environmental Change Research. So here's some key points from the abstract of the paper. Glaciers are key icons of climate change and global environmental change. However, the relationships among gender, science, and glaciers, particularly related to epistemological questions about the production of glacial knowledge, remain under study. So they are looking at feminist political ecology, post-colonial science studies, the feminist glaciology network that generates analysis of gender, power in the dynamic social ecological systems, thereby leading to more just and equitable science and human ice interaction.
Right. Now, I seem to remember this story from a few years ago. Part of what this woman's claiming is that since only really men have studied glaciers, therefore it's gender biased and racist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. How could it be other?
Well, and this is, if I read a paper like this and I was this lady's boss, I would fire her immediately because that's embarrassing.
Well, it was from University of Oregon. I think it was about a $500,000 study.
Of course it was, yeah.
Very, very interesting. And there was actually a TED Talk on it, too, that I checked back on, getting ready to visit with you about this. And the speaker at the TED Talk actually talked about masculine glaciers, which are dirty, slow-moving, and produce little water, versus the feminine glacier, which is blue or pure white, and fast-moving, and are quite abundant in their water production.
So by today's standards, we have to ask the question, because that's a few years old. By today's standards, we have to ask the question, how dare you assume the gender of that glacier?
Well, That's true.
Yes.
And there's discussion about talking with the glacier, spending
Yes.
time with the glacier to understand it
Yeah.
better. And perhaps in that, these so-called scientists, I'll say that, could determine the glacier's preferred ice pronoun or
Right.
something along that line.
Yes. I don't know how you ask. Maybe we can go ahead and check the chromosomes of the glacier to find out what it is. But no, it doesn't work that way, does it?
It really doesn't.
No,
And
it
it's remarkable to think that, going back to the Ice Age when we had something like 2 miles of ice over the
Yes.
northern part of the United States and Canada, and it's been reduced to some, I think, frivolous social experiment to get it published.
All right. I got to run to... That was great, James. Thank you. I got to run to some other callers. Melissa, are you there? Okay, I'm getting nothing from Melissa. I'm going to jump over to... Morning, Robert. He's from Evansville. Hi.
Hi. I think this is the most ridiculous thing in Washington. These people, they were not sent to Washington to decide which bathroom to use. It's the most ridiculous thing. You know what I think they need to do?
Yeah.
I think they need to get some porta potties and set them out and put them outside and let them have at it. You know, and get the porta potty service, when it's below zero. And if they feel that, strong about it, well, then let them prove it.
Okay.
Let them go out there and just use it out in all weather. And when it's 100 degrees out, well, they can really prove it. Go out there and sit out there with the bugs.
Okay.
'Cause I think it's just.
I think the only problem.
outrageous.
The only problem is a porta potty. If Congress were to buy one porta potty, it would probably cost about $10 million per porta potty.
Well, I think enough of us people that care about our country, we could just donate one.
Yep. Okay. We can probably do one that's already mostly full. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. No, I can't wait to see how the Republicans handle this. But look, well, it's got to be on them to handle this. We know what the Democrats think. It's going to be interesting to see how the Republicans handle this. And for the love of God, Republicans, pick a side and vote that way. Don't do what Speaker Johnson just did. I mean, just stop already. Say something. State your opinion. No dancing around it. Coming up on 9:43, Wake Up Wyoming.
It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio. Join the show at 888-97-WOODS.
Coming up on 9:48 is Wake Up Wyoming. Sitting across from me right now is Frank Gambino getting ready to do sports. Okay, our man in Cheyenne, our news guy down there, Doug Randall, asked me a question.
Mm-hmm.
He likes putting up weekly polls.
Okay.
So in this poll, when is it a okay time to put up Christmas decorations?
Right after Thanksgiving.
That's what I said.
The Friday of Thanksgiving.
Yes, okay.
Now, this is coming from somebody whose Christmas tree is up all year round.
Yes.
And little Christmas dolls. And
Yes,
I mean, Christmas has not left my house
all year.
All year,
Yes.
yeah.
Do you turn the lights on in the middle of the year? Like July or August?
No. Just when it gets dark.
Okay.
Like about after. Yeah, the lights are different.
Yes.
That will go on day after Thanksgiving.
Day after Thanksgiving. You finally get to okay.
Yeah, that will actually plug the tree in.
Yeah. All right. So I'm perfectly okay with that, too. Miss Mary disagrees with me. She thought that the moment we got done with Halloween, we should immediately just start putting up Christmas decorations. Like, give it a breath here.
You should have been in the stores.
Yeah.
Right after that.
Oh, my God.
They had this set up before
Halloween. Yeah. I mean, just enough already.
That's marketing that's over the top.
Not asking Frank this one because he keeps his tree up all year round, which I'm okay with keeping your Christmas tree lights on outside your house up all year round.
I like that stuff, too.
But inside your house, though. So when do you take them down? Now, you saw what I did with Halloween. I decorate the hallway. Yeah, and as soon as we get to November 1st, we're done.
I just unplug them.
Yeah, that's it. Just unplug the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean they're not along the windows. They're on a little buffet table, But I just unplug them.
Okay.
They stay there, yeah.
My thought is you keep your Christmas decorations, even the ones in your house, you keep them up until we hit January, New Year's.
That's probably the right day to start tearing it down. Yeah.
Then everything gets put down and not until we get to next year. So this is the question that Doug is going to ask people, and he's going to put a poll up, and we'll be able to see what people think on the poll.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, polls are garbage. If you already have your Christmas tree up, there's something wrong with it.
It's okay. I know there's something wrong with me. That's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
I accept my limitations.
Yeah, Frank accepts his limitations.
And coming up even sooner.
What is this?
And coming up even sooner, the Casper Ice Arena is hosting a skate.
You know what that is? Yeah. I have the button over here. That's Colby doing the news next door.
No, that's me now.
I had the button set up for you, Frank, to be in that other room.
Right.
So now, this is you.
Okay. College football, the latest football ratings for the upcoming 12-team national tournament came out yesterday. The third set of ratings. Boise State of the Mountain West would be one of the four highest-ranked conference champions and could earn a first-round bye. That's pretty good for a Mountain West school. BYU, with a loss to Kansas last week, dropped out of a chance for a first-round bye. Boise State is rated 12th in the country with a 9-1 record. That is bad news for a woeful Wyoming Cowboy team at 2-8, who will host the Broncos on Saturday night in Laramie. A beleaguered Cowboy run defense will have to deal with Boise running back Ashton Jeanty, who is a Heisman Trophy candidate with close to 1,900 yards rushing this year. UW finally acknowledging recruiting misses that have dated back years, why they're at the bottom of the football pile, and many have questioned why running back Harrison Whaley had just 8 carries in their loss to CSU. It's been a train wreck, but there's only two more games to go. So the Boise State game starts at 5 p.m. in Laramie. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Here's a rundown of what some of the former Wyoming Cowboys did in the NFL over the weekend, topped by Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen. His 26-yard run late in the game versus Kansas City on 4th down and 2 for a touchdown iced the game for the Bills 30-21, handing the Chiefs their first loss of the season. That could have been the play of the year in the NFL, with Allen showing smarts, super athletic ability, and some real toughness. It was incredible. Allen was 27 of 30 for 262 yards in the game. Buffalo 9-2, by the way. Cincinnati linebacker and Casper native Logan Wilson with 8 tackles and a forced fumble in their 34-27 loss to the LA Chargers. Bengals are just plain bad at 4-7. And New Orleans defensive back Carl Granderson with 4 tackles and a sack as the Saints beat Cleveland 35-14. New Orleans is having a bad season, 2 of 4-7. JUCO soccer, LCCC from Cheyenne, eliminated from the national tournament in Wichita, Kansas yesterday. They were beaten by the top seed Iowa Western 3-0. The Golden Eagles did post a win in pool play over Tyler, Texas 3-2 on Monday, but their Region 9 championship season comes to an end with a record of 12-6-3. That's it in sports for now.
So I keep hearing these commercials, and I just thought maybe, if they want to run them, but okay. When the Cowboys win, buy lottery tickets, it's buy one, get one.
Boy, lottery sales are way down.
Yeah, so that's why I said when we started this whole season, I was only able to do that twice.
Yeah, but, and that's it. That's all you'll be able to do it for.
The first time I forgot about it.
Okay,
that's right. The second time I thought, they won? How did I? Okay, I didn't buy a ticket because I didn't know they won. I assumed that they had lost. So we know with these last 2 games, they're not going to win.
No.
So your chance of the buy one, get one are just, no one's even going to bother.
You know, one time this year, I got there after, it only goes till 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I was there like at 2:15. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
2:45? Okay. Yeah. No. It didn't help me anyway.
No. Yeah. You could play a different lottery game, I guess.
You could. I tried what I thought was going to be a sure thing. I was in Medicine Bow, and I was at the convenience store. So I thought, there's anybody who's going to get a winning lotto ticket, it's from some little out-of-the-way place like
See,
this.
I think the same way.
Yes.
When I go out of town, I try to buy lottery tickets at different places other than Casper or Cheyenne.
Right. Because the places that you know are just garbage. You'll never win there.
Yeah.
So you're trying to fool fate. That's what we're trying to do.
We're not winning.
Yeah, we're not winning. It's Wake Up Wyoming.